What's up guys, and welcome back to Pop Beat Breakdowns. In today's video I'm going to be breaking down a pop, rap / hip hop type beat that I made today. I thought this would be a really good video to do for the channel because there isn't really many that beats in this sort of style at all, so I thought it would be a good video to do today, especially if you're a beginner in music production and maybe you're a rapper and you want to get into making your own beats. Hopefully this breakdown today will give you a basic understanding of how you can create certain sounds so you can replicate that in your own productions. If you are new to this channel, smash that subscribe button right now, as it is the best way to support the channel. With that mandatory out the way though, let's get straight into Logic and let's break down this beat. Okay, so we are now in Logic and this is the production that I've made. For those of you who are regulars to my channel will know that I like to order everything just for you guys in the order that I added it, so you can see how I built this track from the ground up. And from the preview, you will know that this is a beat heavily based around like sort of rap, hip hop, and more so 808s, because 808s is something that can be very hard to replicate if you don't know where to look in Logic Pro X. But I made this 808s beat for you, which I literally just built the whole track around. So I'm going to first play you this little 808 that I made. Pretty simple, but with some subtle melodic changes just to make it sound a little bit interesting. And this is the 808 bass that you can find in the preset section. Now the only things that I've done to it is I've had a channel EQ with a little bit of a rise in the mid, so it cuts a bit more into the mix. So you can see that there, that little rise just there. I didn't want to adjust the bass too much because I did a lot of mastering to sort of bring out the low end. And then I have used the clean setting, but I've just adjusted the thump up a little bit more and the tube a little bit. Like, these are the only two things that I've touched on here just to create a sound. Oh, and the filter envelope at 29.1%. Other than that, if you open this up, pretty much everything will be how it is, but they're the only subtle changes that I made. And that's our 808 bass. So the next thing that obviously I wanted to do was start building a rhythm section, because bass comes under the rhythm section, so I wanted to build around the drums next. For those of you who are Logic users, the Drum Machine Designer is probably the best thing to use for drums. You can use all the presets and stuff, but this just makes it your own. You could choose from all the different banks of kicks, snares, hi-hats, etc. And you can create exactly the sort of kit that you want, so you can have a custom kit. Now, to find the Drum Machine Designer, for those of you who don't know where it is, you just open up a new software instrument, and then once you scroll down, and there's a Drum Machine Designer just there. And the first thing that I created was the kick and snare. So I'll just so you can hear the elements just individually. I'll just quickly mute the hi-hats. So this is the kick and snare I want to go for. I wanted something snappy, but you can hear it bounces sort of like with the kick and the snare really nicely, like correlating with the 808. Have a listen to this. And already we've got a really nice vibe going. So the next thing to do, let's add in my first hi-hat pattern. So I've actually got two different sounding hi-hats for this, because I really like to play around with textures when you're going for a minimalist production like this where 808 is so heavily involved. You really want the percussion to sort of drive it on. So the first hi-hat I did was this little rhythm. And I layered that with this little hi-hat right here, which is doing something a little bit more complex. Now, one thing that's really cool about this little production tip, if you're using multiple hi-hats, is I used a sample delay on both these hi-hats. One I sample delay slightly to the left, the other to the right, so it creates this really nice stereo spread, so they're sort of bouncing off each other each side of the mix. So if you're listening to this in stereo, you get the best effect of using it. I just think it's a very cool thing to do to create not only that stereo spread, but also to add a little bit of movement into the drums. For those of you who don't know what sample delay is, basically, to put it as simply as possible, on a stereo track, if you put a delay to the left, what it's going to do is you're going to get the same signal come out of both sides of the mix, but the left side will be 9.3 milliseconds later at this stage. But we perceive that as a stereo split. So we're taking this one signal, when you put it to the side and slightly delay one, it sounds like you're getting the same signal twice out of two ears, but there will be a slight bias to the left because that's the last thing you hear. So that's just how that works. So it's still technically to the left of the mix, but you can also hear on the right of the mix. Just a really great way to create some movement in the drums. It's also good for guitars, also good for piano. So it's something I highly recommend that you try out, and vocals as well. So the only thing I added after that was a shaker, just to complete the sort of like higher end of the kit. So this is the kit altogether. That's pretty cool. It's got some bounce to it, and that's exactly what I want for this kind of a beat. I was kind of modelling of, for some reason in my head, Iggy Azalea when I started making this beat this morning, you know, whatever. And with the 808, we've got now this real nice bounce. So the next thing I want to do now is I really wanted to start playing a little bit of sound design. So I got this sound of a car crash and created a transition with it. So there you go, lovely car crash. Now just listen. Because I added this, because it kind of comes in the riser, because the car coming before it smashes, it's sort of like a shh. That's why I added it as a riser. I thought it was very cool. It's just something cool to add a little bit of like punch to the start. So again, listen to this. And I think it sounds okay, but it's not enough in the low end. It sticks out a bit. So then that's when I added the kick thump, which for some reason I put all the way down the bottom here. And this is basically just a massive reverberant kick to add the low end. I got that from Splice, by the way, for those of you wondering. As did I get the crash. So I put this together. So it makes it sound a lot more epic, a lot more sound designy. And now it sounds a lot better. It just adds that sass, because I'm trying to imagine how the rapper's going to be playing it. And, you know, I just wanted them sort of like car crash things because I feel like it would really fit in with the sort of sass or the vocal performance in this sort of song. So the next thing I wanted to add now was some more actual production value. So I wanted a nice hook for the chorus. And I came up with this idea to have some low octave piano playing, which was almost mimicking the 808 to bring it to life. So I added this piano in. You can just use the Steinway piano in Logic. I always prefer the Grandeur. For those of you who watch this channel a lot will know I like to use this piano, which is Native Instruments, and basically playing the exact same thing as the bass. Have a listen to this. And this influence I took from Anne-Marie's latest song, Psycho. I just thought it was really cool how the piano was very simple doing that. So that's why I did that in. So that's another song reference that I've used here. So it worked out really well. Now the last thing I did, I wanted something very simple but persistent throughout the song. So then I went to Glaze in Contact, which is probably my favourite software instrument at the moment. I bought this in Black Friday and haven't regretted it at all. This is for vocal samples and which have been mashed up and turned into basses, pads, textures. It's really cool, and I found this sound here, which I just thought suited really well. It's got this nice little percussive element. So not only has it got melodic value, but it's also got percussive value as well. So you've got to think about that in context with the drums now. It makes it sound really bouncy. And this melody again is very simple. It's just playing like the root note, then dropping down to I think one of the matching chords at some point. But listen to this. And I just thought that completed it for me. And this is a very simple production. So the only last thing I wanted to add was just some white noise, which I extracted from Splice. Just to, you know, create a little bit of that last bit of movement in the background, the mix, and to make sure that it wasn't clogging up the mix. I added a chorus effect, so I put the mix on 100%, the intensity on 100%, and the rate on 0.033, so you don't get too much of modulation sound, and that creates this really nice spread. So if you've got headphones on, just quickly listen to the effect that this chorus has on the white noise, because I highly recommend. This is a very good way to create, like, take something mono and make it stereo. So this is in stereo. Now have a listen to it in mono. Down the middle. See what I mean? If you were in headphones then, you would have noticed that. But it's just a very cool way, again, to create a stereo spread. So, that's the production. So what I'll do now is you can just have a listen from the pre-chorus and just you could just hear hear the production. So here it is. Here is my pop rap / hip hop Iggy Azalea type beat. Enjoy. So there you go, guys. That is the end of the video for today. If you enjoyed this video, smash that subscribe button right now, as it is the best way to support the channel. And also comment below any other sort of genres or similar sounding artists or songs that you want me to create and then do a pop beat breakdown of in future videos. So yeah, I'll leave it there for today, guys. Keep making music, and I will see you in the next video.